So, last chance, everyone here wants to come and see the little skits over here.
I decided to find whatever I put on.
Justine with the donation box to go like this.
So, ladies and gentlemen, on my table over here, I bought something special. I bought, as you can see over there, just move back so we can see it. I've shown you records.
Sweet.
So, records from all of history. So this is basically times in history that amazing records and feats were broken. And I felt that I wanted to bring little items from each little milestone in human history reached. So, first up over here, we'll start with this. AD 722 to 1492. Any guesses of what record this is? Longest nose, biggest ears, anything?
Pinocchio.
Longest night, shortest day. Any guesses? Yes, for this one.
Can I try it on?
Oh, you want to try it on? I'll let you try it on afterwards. So my friends, this represents over here the longest war in all of history. So lasting from 722 to 1492, the Reconquista was the longest war in all of history, lasting nearly 800 years. This was the war fought by the Spanish against the Islamic rule in Spain, and it became known in Spain as the Reconquista, or the Reconqueror. And this helmet came very late in the Reconquista, and it's called the 𝐭𝐭𝐤𝐿 helmet. And its very name testifies to the great struggle between the Moors and the Spanish. So remember, it was the Umayyad Caliphates that invaded Spain in 711. And from there, they would instill the Islamic Caliphate in Spain. And the people of Spain, the Christians, would spend nearly 800 years trying to reclaim their homeland. And the 𝐭𝐭𝐤𝐿 is named after, well, it's Moorish, so the Moors influenced this helmet. And it's called comb because it's got a comb on it to keep it strong, so the 𝐭𝐿. Very interesting piece of history there. So ladies and gentlemen, the longest war in all of history, up to date, to record, the Reconquista. So next on the list, any guesses? AD 2022, that's this year by the way.
Longest time of load shedding.
What is load shedding? I don't know, we use candles. So any other guesses? Not load shedding, no, sorry, AD 22. Saudi Arabian. It's to do with Saudi Arabia. Only a small portion, yes.
So what did you say, 80?
80 2022 this year.
The World Cup.
Dubai, World Cup, Qatar. Alright, no. So ladies and gentlemen, I've used my gutra to represent the present time, the largest humanity has ever been. Up to the present, humanity is reaching nearly 8 billion. And it's the biggest humanity's ever been in history up to date. So I just used my gutra because the history of the gutra really just goes back to the 1970s. If you ever see this thing being worn in a historical film, World War I, 1800s is inaccurate. These only invented at least this pattern in the 1970s. The cords go back a bit further, but the gutra itself, this style, is only in the 70s. So I thought this is a relatively modern hat of mine, representing present times. Biggest humanity's ever been. Well, we'll get to that, my friend. So the next one, this hat over here, 1922. Any guesses to what record in history this is? Russia. Most number of casualties in a war. Not quite, no. World War I?
What's the
No,
category? The
no.
most number of something? Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, 1922. World War I ended in 1918. It's nothing to do with
So what's
World
the
War I.
category? What the most? What?
It's just records in history.
Records in history.
Any more guesses? Beginnings of communism. Okay, you want the answer?
No, wait.
Wait. Okay. Any other guesses? 1922 AD.
So is it worldwide or local? No.
It's pretty worldwide.
Oh, the Spanish flu. No.
Ooh, close. Not really, but no. Sorry, that was a good guess though. Spanish flu though actually ended in 1920. Technically.
1922. So after the Spanish flu.
Yeah.
Right, I'll take your answer next week. Hey, thanks for coming. I'm the one with the sword, alright? This is the one who died my night. Okay. The answer is the largest empire in human history, the British Empire. I thought I'd symbolize this with my British officer's hat, going back to roughly that time. AD 1922 was the height of the British Empire. So if you think about human history and every single empire that's ever occurred, think about the top three empires in terms of largest extent in history. The top three, so the third one is the Russian Empire. Second is the Mongolian Empire, Genghis Khan, and none other than the British Empire at the top. They covered a quarter of the entire planet Earth. And AD 1922 was the year of the height. The height of the empire, it was the largest it ever was. Think about the Victorian days. No, Queen Victoria, it wasn't at its height then. 1922 was the height. Because after 1922, Britain lost Ireland and also Egypt. So that was when...
Ireland was in there somewhere.
Exactly, yes. The poor Irish, the British. Oh, we'll get there later on. I can't wait to be Irish and fight them now. I say now we'll fight those British when our time comes in the later weeks. Anyway, so yes, 1922, after that year, the British Empire would never be as big as it was before. So there's another record, biggest empire in history. So the next one is this helmet over here, AD 1942 to 1943. Any guesses what record this is?
Most losses in the war?
Most losses in a war? Yes, correct. Any guesses as to which? You were almost correct.
It's German
Maybe
war.
not war. Eastern
Biggest
France, yes.
Holocaust.
No, not quite, not quite.
Stalingrad and Leningrad, Eastern Front.
Fern's correct, guys. So, I've used the German Stahlhelm to represent the biggest battle in human history. So the Battle of Stalingrad, AD 1942 to 1943, was the biggest battle in all of human history. The Germans lost 800,000 men in the one battle, and the Russians lost 1.2 million in that one battle. Remember the difference between a war, the Reconquista, and a battle. A battle is part of a war. So technically, yes, this is the biggest battle in all of history. And it changed the world forever. And later in the future, you'll see my Stalingrad project. But I thought that, yes, I'd include the biggest battle in all of history. 1.2 million just by the Russians alone. It's crazy, hey? Did you know that a Russian sniper, Vasily Zaitsev, was a Soviet sniper in Stalingrad? He alone got over 200 kills in that battle alone. 200 people did he destroy by himself. It just shows how deadly it was. And it was a real time in history. And another interesting thing, just put that over there. It started in August and ended in February. So literally, that's about, how many months is that, guys? It's about 6 months, 5-6 months. Yeah, that's how long it was. So ladies and gentlemen, the biggest battle in all of history. So the next one on our list is this little hood over here. And this is going AD 1346 to 53. Any guesses as to what this is? Record of Red Riding Hood. Yes, she broke a record in history. No, not quite, not quite. Any other guesses as to what happened then? Robin Hood. Robin Hood was actually the 1200s, not 1300s. Although we don't know if it exists.
Yeah.
But yes. Any guesses to what this hood represents? Yes? Horse saddle. Horse saddle? Well, I mean, you could put this on a horse saddle, I guess. As Normans are inventive, no, not quite.
Looks like a dog collar.
If your horse has got 2 legs, it'll fit.
It is a hood, my friend.
Good, yeah.
Red
So we were wearing that.
Looks like Red Riding Hood.
Red.
So, you guys want the
Crusades?
answer? Crusades? No. The Crusades, not quite. AD 1346 to 53. Right, so ladies and gentlemen, the record that this time broke was the deadliest pandemic in history. The great, the bubonic plague. So in 1346 to 53 was the biggest pandemic in all of history. And it ravaged almost all of Europe. And ever since then, there's never been a bigger pandemic. Spanish flu never beat it. The Black Death in London never beat it. So yeah, COVID-19 by far didn't beat it. So yes, even monkeypox doesn't come close to the bubonic plague of 1346 to 53. So yes,
Let me still complain.
they're the same thing. So the bubonic plague is caused by a bacteria called Yersinia pestis. And it was mostly found in little fleas, and the fleas clung to rats. And they theorized that after all the Crusades, the exchanging between the Middle East and Europe brought in the Black Death to Europe. And because Europeans had no immunity to it, it had its very big toll. And sadly, they had no idea what caused it. It was only until the 1800s that a cure was found. But so yeah, basically the plague has been plaguing human history ever since. It's been long. There was even another black plague in the 500s, the plague of Justinian. The Byzantine emperor was named after him. There was another plague then. Many big plagues have come out.
So
yes.
What's the significance of the hood?
Oh, it's just what's your typical attire of man in the 14th century. Like I say, helmet from then, typical attire from then. You know, just this little thing to represent it.
And the hole at the back of your head, is that for a pony tie? Is that for the gas mask?
This hides it. Anyway, so last but not least, you guys are probably wondering about this.
A glass of water.
3.7 billion BC. Any guesses to what record happened over here?
The first time they found water.
Oh, the dinosaurs was only 65 million years ago.
It's about the
This
Big
is
Bang.
13.7 billion years ago. Any idea as to what record this is? Yes?
People like found something that they could drink.
Oh, drinking, yeah. You guys are under, more or less, I suppose, but not quite.
Continents broke up?
Oh, no. That
Is it
Earth
the
wasn't
Big
even existing back then.
Okay.
The
Earth
Big Bang.
didn't exist.
Yeah.
Big Bang is the closest answer we've
Yeah.
had so far, but not quite.
The beginning of mankind.
Bang's being disproved,
So I should probably tell you guys the answer.
Yeah.
So the record over here is the oldest thing in the universe, hydrogen. Hydrogen. So this is not actually hydrogen, this is hydrogen oxide, so it's H2O. But think about the hydrogen inside this water, and hydrogen is the oldest thing in the universe. After the universe began, they theorized it was probably about 100,000 years or so, and then the first hydrogen was formed. So we weren't even atoms at the beginning. It was only after all the tumult of the mixture of whatever it was, we're not even too sure. But very soon after the universe began, hydrogen formed. And it's the oldest substance in the universe, and it's in almost everything we see. It's the most common element. That's why it's the first element on the periodic table, H, element number 1. So yeah, hydrogen, the oldest substance in the universe. I do my best, I do my best. Yeah, that brings us to the end. This lovely dihydrogen oxide is so delicious.
Dihydrogen oxide.
It tastes a bit old, so. Great, thank you, my wife. Wonderful.